Hello everyone, welcome back to ShootOut and welcome back to what we have been waiting for. George, mate, it's been so long, it's been international break and we've been starved of these prediction videos. We are here for Premier League predictions, finally, we're back. George,
mate,
how are you
honestly,
doing?
This is a relief. This has been the longest, most boring, dragged out international break that I can ever remember in my history of existence as a football fan, mate. I'm so glad that rubbish nonsense is over and we have got a feast this weekend. No massive matches, but a lot of really good ones. I bet you're just as excited as me. I bloody well hope you are.
Mate, I am. I can't wait. I mean, yeah, the international break was filled with only one topic, one story, and that was the whole Gareth Southgate, Harry Maguire saga, which we don't need to go to now. It's done. Fingers crossed. We're not going to address that again. We'll see how Harry Maguire does for Man United if Eric Ten Hag plays him, but we're going to come to that. I'm looking forward to this. Do you want to give us a little recap on where the scores are in terms of the predictions? Because it's getting tight now. It's getting tasty.
It was good. I mean, if we were betting men, which I certainly am, last week we would have stuck a couple of money on this and we'd have got a few points back. I managed to get 2 correct scores last week. You managed to get 1 correct score. And there was a couple of other ones where we predicted the right result, which leaves the points right now at 17 to me and 18 to you, Big Eunice, which means that we are pretty much neck and neck. But the comeback from me is well and truly on. And I actually got the Palace Wolves game right, which you thought there was going to be no goals, and I said 5. And there was 5. So I'm confident going into this one.
Well, you know, you can look at those little games, but when the big games come about and I say Arsenal are going to beat United 3-1 and it happens, you know, that's why you're not going to get me, mate.
Man knows ball, innit?
Top bins.
Let's
get cracking. Let's get cracking. We're going to start off. Wolves versus Liverpool. That's the early kickoff tomorrow, Saturday lunchtime. I've used this logic before, where I go, the early kickoff is what's going to cause a surprise, and I did that with Tottenham, and then it didn't happen. So, what do you think about this one, George? Wolves versus Liverpool, 12:30
I mean,
kickoff.
if you want to go with that logic again, then I think you can do that, and you're either going to come across as playing the biggest masterstroke of Premier League predictions this season, or you're going to look like a wee fool. And I think if you did that, you'd be a wee fool, because I think Liverpool are going to go on a rampage here. Not like maybe I do think they will go on a nutty rampage. I just think Liverpool have looked good. They've got players coming into good form. Darwin is really starting to show up now, to show his importance to what he can bring to this Liverpool team as opposed to last year. And with Wolves, I still think they're going to really struggle. And I'm going to start the predictions this week with a 4-0 Liverpool win, mate. I think Liverpool are going to go to the Molineux and trounce them.
4-0? That's bold.
4-0.
That's bold.
Yep.
I think you've just lost 3 points.
Well, do you actually think Wolves are going to win? Like, tell me a good reason to believe this.
No, I don't think Wolves will win. I'd like to say Wolves will win. I hope they do win, because obviously, you know, we support these lot over here. But I do genuinely think Liverpool have done something very interesting in that transfer window, and that was to keep their best player. I had a little inkling that he might end up going Saudi. He didn't. They kept him, and you know what? They've bolstered their midfield. They look like they have a bit more balance. I'm going to go with a Liverpool win, but not 4-0. I think it will be a little bit more reserved. I'm going with a Wolves 0, Liverpool 2. So we'll see who ends up with the right score.
You've given us a boring prediction to start with. Surely now Fulham Luton is going to be an absolute goal fest in your eyes, isn't it, Eunice? What do you think?
You know what? I still don't know what to think with Luton. Are they just, have they not really come into it yet? Are they going to, blossom eventually? Or is what we've seen all we're going to get from Luton? I genuinely don't know. But Fulham right now looking, to be honest, a bit 50-50. They started off, I would say, decent, and then they've kind of fallen off. There's, again, quite a bit of uncertainty with Fulham, although I do see them as key favourites here. I don't see how Luton win this, to be honest, at the moment. Fulham at home. So I am going to go with Fulham 3, Luton 1. I think Luton will get that goal, but they'll lose 3-1.
Do you know what? I'm going to give Luton Town their first point of the season here, I don't think it's going to be 0-0. I can never predict a 0-0 because that's just like, how boring should the Premier League be to ever predict a 0-0, which absolutely isn't boring. But I'm going to say 1-1. And I think Fulham will have these games this season where they got their backs against the wall a little bit and then somehow they surprise teams on the counter. And then I think they'll have other games where they will miss Mitrovic up front. And I feel as though this game could be one of those. And I think Luton, they've got to get a point at least eventually. And I think it's going to be this game. I'm going with a 1-1, mate. Spurs, Sheffield United.
Spurs have started off really well. Fair play to them. And even though there are going to come games where they lose, or they draw, they don't get a result. But I think their fan base will be calm and everyone will be looking at Tottenham, not really giving them much attention even if they drop points, because they're playing nice football and they're looking like they know how to play football again. And I think that's going to be the one thing that saves them in terms of the critique from everyone else. But right now, because they've started off pretty well, they've got a nice little blend going. Can they keep that momentum from up before the international break into this? I think against Sheffield United at home, they will. So I reckon that Tottenham could get a decent result. What do you think?
Oh, I was about to get my yellow card out there. I've got myself an orange one today, which is basically halfway towards a red card. It's yellow in my book. I've also got my weapon of choice out today. I've got a hammer because we've been hammering nails into the wall. So if you do get a little bit carried away, Eunice, you're going to get knocked down a peg or two, all right? So
you can book me, but if you're getting the hammer out, mate, I'm just calling the old Bill.
You're violent little individual.
You're getting
suspended. Violence in this game. I know I do. I think there's going to be 2 red cards in this game between Spurs and Sheffield United, and I think it is going to make for a scrappy, cagey affair. But sadly, as a result of that, I think it's going to show a different side of Tottenham, where they're going to have some struggles to break Sheffield United down. They're going to defend resolutely like they did against City, but then James Maddison's going to score a winner in the last 5 minutes of the game, and Tottenham are going to beat Sheffield United 2-1 with both teams playing with 10 men. You heard it here first. Get your dollars on it. Get your pounds on it. That's what's going to happen, all right? What do you think's going to happen, Big Eunice?
I don't know what the cereal's like in Bali. I don't know if there's something in it that makes you go crazy, but bloody hell, this is these predictions today are going absolutely mental. Listen, Tottenham at home, Sheffield United, right? Sheffield United, despite the decent display against Man City, still find themselves 17th and quite a lot of losses on the board, despite the one draw. I think Tottenham at home should be, I don't want to be boring, but I just don't see it going any other way. Unless Tottenham do a Tottenham, because it's very Spursy. I still think Tottenham win, and I see it going down as a 2-0 win to Tottenham. Sorry, Sheffield 2-0. United.
It's comfortable. This is like Champions League qualification form, which I really don't like. But will West Ham continue their Champions League qualification form against the champions Manchester City? I don't think they will. Surely not.
Surely not. But West Ham have been the surprising team so far. Let's be honest. Out of all the teams that are at least top half of the table, people are looking at West Ham thinking, what are you doing here? And it's at home, advantage, but it's Man City. This is going to be their toughest game of the season, unless the game at the Etihad, of course. But West Ham do offer themselves a chance. I want to say that this could be the surprise game. Man City will lose a game this season. They're not going to go unbeaten, I think. But will West Ham do enough? I'm gonna go with a draw.
Wow,
I reckon this could be West Ham holding on. Yeah, I reckon I'm gonna go with a draw. I'm gonna go with I want to say 1-1.
Okay, 1-1. That's actually very bold. I rate that from you, and I think it's like, if people listen to us as their gospel truths of the weekend, not only would they be very foolish, but Erling Haaland is not being captain this weekend. I just have a feeling that this West Ham, the way that they're doing things at the minute, like they'll happily sit there and get 26-25% possession and win a game on a couple of counters. This is going to work against teams quite often because they've got good players, West Ham. But I also think against teams like City, it can work and then City will find a way like they did against Sheffield United. And I think for that reason, I think it's going to be close, but I think City will score a late goal again and win 2-1. In this one, I think City will grind out a good result away from home again.
Fair play. Fair play. Good luck to West Ham. Let's see what happens. Drinks break.
Do your thing.
The drinks. Hey, listen, it's been hot here in London. It's drinks break. Drinks break. We're going to have a sip of water. Right, that's over. Man United, Brighton. Let's get right into it. Man United, Brighton. You know what? People look at this on paper and think, oh, Man United are at home and whatnot. This is going to be, should be, a win, but no. I think this has got Brighton win written all over it. personally.
Wow.
I'll give my score, but I think it's got a Brighton win. Man United are all over the place right now, on and off the pitch, I believe. I think there's too much instability. Anthony's suspended forever, it seems, for a very long time. Who's going to play on that right-hand side? Is Maguire going to play? Like, we got all sorts of craziness off the pitch as well. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Man United, and how do you think Brighton will play at Old Trafford?
I just think Brighton, they've been so good this season, but yet they still look vulnerable at the back. And I think Manchester United, over the years, have been a team who, when faced with adversity, they can often pull through in moments where many people are looking and thinking they can't. And I think this could be one of those games again. I think there could be goals here. I think there's a massive story that could potentially be had with Evan Ferguson rocking up to Old Trafford and scoring a couple of goals again, getting Brighton a famous win. And then Man United will be like, bloody hell, we want this kid, don't we? But then at the same time, I also think United might just somehow find a way to win this game. And I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say that Man United will do that. I think United are going to win this game 2-1. I think this is going to be a big conflict here in the prediction. So this is a big one to watch.
Huge, huge. I don't see that happening at all. At all. I think Man United are going to struggle. I think their defence are too exposed. I think there is the potential news of Martinez not being available this weekend. He might be out with a little knock or an injury, so there's that. I mean, who in the blue hell are they going to play in defence? It's going to come to Harry Maguire. Let's be honest. And if it does, look, Brighton right now, funnily enough, have scored the most goals out of all the teams in the Premier League, even ahead of City. I do see Brighton exploiting Man United here, tactically, and in terms of Man United's open defence. And I just don't think Man United will have enough power with the ball compared to Brighton. I think Brighton win this 3-1.
3-1? Oh, yo, that's massive, mate. That's a monster result. I think this could be one of those where on Saturday night we've got to make sure we're filming after this, because these 3 o'clock games, they're fascinating. So stay tuned for the review here on ShootOut, where we can look at both Eunice and I's predictions from this game and see, is Ethereum, Ten Hag in trouble? Aston Villa Palace, mate, is the next one. A Villa team who 1 week look like they don't know what they're doing, and they've dropped their shopping outside. The glass things they bought have smashed. The eggs have cracked. Then the next week, they're cooking up a dish and a half, scoring loads of goals, winning football matches. Whereas Palace, pretty consistent, looking good, top half of the table. What do you think is going to happen here at Villa Park? I think this is an interesting game where there might either be a lot of goals or no goals.
Yeah, this one's a weird one, because normally on paper I'd look at this and go, Aston Villa win. Standard. But no, this time around, it's not even about Aston Villa. Aston Villa are playing, I think, the way that people expect Aston Villa to play, and they're in the part of the table where people expect them to be. But it's Crystal Palace that's surprising a lot of people. Under Roy Hodgson, out of all managers, somehow they're just finding balance and consistency. They're not really letting goals in. They're not really losing points. They're there. I mean, they're sitting 7th. And they're playing a way that people don't really expect them to play under Roy Hodgson. So I do think they have a good amount of stability, but they're going to go to Aston Villa and that's going to be difficult. But I think they balance themselves out. I see this ending as a draw. Aston Villa do have the potential to go on a rout if they really, really are switched on. But I think Palace under Hodgson balance that out defensively. And I think for that reason, we're probably going to get a draw. But I'm going to give them a goal scoring draw. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't want to be boring. That's exactly what I was going to say. But I'm not going to say that anymore, because I see this, right? I see this as an opportunity. An opportunity to try and strive to take some points off of you, to narrow that gap of 1 point in the predictions even further. And I'll say why I was going to say 2-2, and then I'll say my actual prediction that I've changed now. I think Aston Villa, they're a couple of games away from really clicking. And that is why so far we've seen them destroy teams and be destroyed. And I think the fact is their players are actually more than good enough to make a really solid go at the top 6 this season. But weirdly, despite having great centre-backs, a great central midfield, they just seem to lack that, like, steel, I guess you can say, of the clubs that need to have steel with those good players in those areas. But I'm going to say, just because you said 2-2, I'm going to say 2-1 to Aston Villa, which is my 4th 2-1 scoreline in a row. But like, I don't actually think Villa are going to win. This is me being tactical now. But at least I've given both reasons.
This is why it's going to backfire, mate. You've just lost points.
Okay, well, I back your confidence, but I was the one who got 2 correct results last week, my friend. So Newcastle-Brentford, no one can predict this game correctly, surely, because this is a weird game of football, I think.
It is a weird game of football, and funnily enough, Newcastle are 14th in the league, 3 straight losses. I mean, that's... I don't know what's going on, but you see the logic you just applied to Aston Villa, I apply to Newcastle. I think they will end up clicking, and they will start getting momentum and start picking themselves up. I think it's probably just something for them that's the beginning of the season. I think it begins against Brentford. At home against Brentford is a game where I see a home win, realistically. Brentford, though, look, nothing to take away from Brentford. They're playing really, really well. They find themselves in a similar situation to what we just described as Crystal Palace are in. Unexpectedly doing really well and still unbeaten. They've got 3 draws, but they're unbeaten. So, honestly, Brentford will be hard to break down. I just think this could be the way after the international break where everyone's had a break. Maybe Newcastle will have a chance to reset and just this is their start of the season now. So despite Brentford doing well, normally in this sort of circumstance I'd go with a draw. But I don't know what you thinking.
Oh, I was about to get my cards out again, mate. You're doing well today.
You're not booking me.
You're not booking clean. Me. No, I've got it ready, but I'm sticking it to the white side of the paper right now.
Do you remember when Mourinho said emotional control? That's what I'm on right now.
It's a Thursday, mate. I love it. It's good from you. It's solid. Very solid. And I think solid is not going to be the outcome of this game. I don't think either of these 2 teams are going to be solid. I think Newcastle are in a bit of a worrying moment right now. 3 defeats in a row for a team that are going to be in the Champions League. That's not the kind of form you want to take into Europe. But I think the fact that Newcastle have St James's Park is going to help them massively, which I also think is going to be the case for this game. And I think Brentford will get their first defeat of the season. And I'm going to say that Newcastle are going to win this match 3-2 because I think they're going to be chasing it. I think they're going to be going for it. Entertain that St James's Park crowd and you will see the results come. And I think it does come in this game 3-2.
I'm going on a similar vibe in terms of the score, but I'm going with a little bit more of a reserved score overall. I'm going with a 1-0 Newcastle win. So I think that they'll... Yeah, I think both teams will find it hard to break each other down. Newcastle probably being a little cautious, Brentford being cautious because they're the away team at Newcastle. I think that will balance itself off, but Newcastle will get that winner. So I'm going with a 1-0 Newcastle. And look, if they don't get a result against Brentford, I want to put this little caveat in. As you said, going into European football, going into the Champions League on bad form is not what you want. They have to win against Brentford, because if they don't and they find themselves in a rut, that's gonna hurt them badly. So they have to win this, and that's where I think the pressure will help them. I'm going 1-0 Newcastle.
Sweet. Okay, that moves us nicely into the biggest game of the Premier League weekend, of course, and that is at the Vitality Stadium, Bournemouth versus Chelsea. How are you feeling here? Because I'm trying to be realistic. I'm so excited for this game. Like, people have no idea how buzzing I am for this. But at the same time, Bournemouth are good, and Chelsea have not been very good. So, do we want to jump the gun here and be like, yeah, Chelsea are back, mate, 5-0, 7-0. What's it going to be? Talk to me.
I'd love to, but I'm not going to.
Oh, good. Don't get me too excited. I'll start getting the hammer out again.
Bro, last time we got excited, we got a manager sacked. So, there's that. I think in terms of Bournemouth-Chelsea, I want to really come on here and be like, nah, this should be a routine win for Chelsea. On paper, I think many people would look and go routine win for Chelsea. But I have to say, I'm going to be honest, I'm worried. I'm worried because Chelsea and the way that we played against Nottingham Forest, I now don't know what Chelsea are going to show up. Is it going to be a Chelsea that's reset? A Chelsea that's, back on it? Was that just a blip? Or are we going to carry on this ridiculousness that we've seen in terms of Chilwell at left wing and Colwell at left back and all that madness that's just not helping us? I got a feeling we will. That's why I'm scared. I'm excited because it's nice to see Chelsea back and it's a game against Bournemouth where even under Lampard last season we went to the Vitality and we got 3 points. I honestly am a bit worried though. How are you feeling?
Well, I think the good thing is, and I think I've said this in so many pieces of content on YouTube in the last week or so, Bournemouth don't play the same way that Forest do, West Ham do, I don't think they're going to sit 10 men and a goalkeeper behind the ball the whole game. So for that reason, I think that's also probably why Chelsea beat Bournemouth twice last season, because Bournemouth don't play like that for 90 minutes of the game against us. So I think for that reason, I think Chelsea will get the result here. But that's the only reason behind it. Like, I'm not actually confident in like the concept of Chelsea winning a match right now, which is, if you get what I mean. But I think because of the matchup of the two teams, I think we will win this one. But I think it's your score first here.
Ah, man, I was waiting for you to go in for that challenge. I was ready with the yellow.
Nah,
man,
mate.
Okay.
I'm a bookingless individual, right? I've got no bookings to my name. I'm a clean man.
Bloody hell. All right, Gary Lineker. Bournemouth, Chelsea, I'm going to go with this, right? Because even last season under Lampard, Bournemouth had a lot of chances they wasted, and then we ended up getting that result in the second half. I do think there should be enough quality for us, especially with this new team, to go to Bournemouth and win. For the sake of Chelsea being Chelsea, I'm going to say that we go there and we win, but I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to go Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 2.
Yep, I've gone for exactly the same result, and I think if there's any game that I'm going to stick to my guns, it's this one. I have to.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
to. I'm not confident at all. Like, the more I go into it, I want to move on.
How are we scared against
to
Bournemouth?
Everton, Arsenal. But
honestly.
How have we got, Chelsea fans, how are we here? How are we playing Bournemouth away and freaking out about it? Let us know in the comments if you are too. Everton, Arsenal. Is there any part of you here that thinks there could be a big shock and a big arrival for Dyche's Everton this weekend? Or are you in the same boat as me, where I think this could be an absolute away day rout and a turning up for Arsenal at Goodison?
You know what? Saka might be out. That's the latest rumour in terms of this game. He might have a little Achilles issue that isn't too serious apparently, but it might be enough to knock him out of this one. But still, Arsenal have enough depth and quality, and they're playing fantastic. The way they did it, they did the job against Man United before the international break was fantastic, absolutely phenomenal. Everton are that team, though. You know, the Premier League's the Premier League. It's this sort of game where Everton win 1-0 out of nowhere. But I just think the quality that Arsenal have and the problems that Everton have are just there's too much of a gap and too much of a difference to be able to have a little surprise this weekend, I reckon. What do you reckon?
I think Arsenal are going to win this comfortably. I don't think it will be a stupid scoreline, but I think by the end of the game, I think Arsenal are just going to run riot. I think they'll score in the first half, and then with 10 minutes to go, they'll score 2 more, and they will beat Everton 3-0 at Goodison Park on Sunday afternoon, which means we now need to go to your score. I was about to jump into the last game there, jumping the gun.
That would have been a yellow.
What you think? That would have been a yellow. That actually would have been beyond a yellow. That could have been a sackable offence.
That could have been a red.
That could have been. That could have been a hammer to the head, mate. Hammerhead shark bite. Rock and roll.
Oh, mate, I agree. Overall, I agree. I think I want to give Everton... Actually, no. Do I want to? I don't think they'll score. If they do score, credit, fair play. I don't think they'll score, though. I'm going to go Everton 0, Arsenal 2. Just 2-0. To make it different.
You do like a 2-0. It's your second one of the weekend.
I do. And I remember last season predicting Chelsea scores 2-0. That's when we lost. So, who knows?
That's why we said 2-1. What a fascinating game for a Monday night, mate. Bloody hell, they know how to pick their brilliant ones to end off the weekend, don't they? I don't think we wait until this game's over to do a review. Or is this going to be a flipping 8-goal thriller?
It actually could be, you know. This is a game that I think you'd look at. It's basically a championship game, no disrespect.
Yeah. This is gonna be a big game.
Yeah.
There's going to be goals here.
Look, Burnley have to start switching on. That's the reality. They've not switched on yet at all. We're expecting them to. Burnley were the one team that people saw get promoted and go, you know what, they're a team that could finish 13th or 12th just because of the way that they dominated the championship. But right now, they've not shown anything in terms of the way that they were playing last season. Nottingham Forest, however, I mean, well, they've just beat us. So I can't speak ill of Nottingham Forest. They find themselves 9th with 2 wins on the board. And they're playing at home. So look, in terms of the favourites, it has to be Forest here. But this is a big opportunity for Burnley to be able to play against a Nottingham Forest team that realistically, with the way that Burnley play their football, should believe that they can get a result against. But realistically, I've got a feeling we're going to get disappointed by Burnley now, and maybe it was all hype. Maybe it was all hype. What do you reckon?
Do you know what? I've got a feeling that you might be right, but I think in this game, Monday night, under the lights, I had an epiphany a moment ago, and I know the score of this game. I know what the score is going to be. All right?
Here we go.
And I'll spit it out. Insert mid-roll ad here. It is going to be Nottingham Forest 3, Burnley 3. There is going to be 6 goals, and it is going to go down as one of the games of the season between a team that is doing very well at the moment and maybe coming into a bit of rhythm against a team who are really struggling but are going to go gung-ho to try and solve their issues. They're not going to revert back to the Burnley of old. They're going to believe in Kompany's methods, which against the team in form is going to see them exposed. But it's also going to bear some fruits in the attacking third, and it's going to finish 3-3. Stick your money on it. Do your worst. What do you think?
Firstly, everyone watching, don't. Right? You got to listen to the wise man here. Not the barley cereal crazy nut over here that's, I don't know, plucking predictions out of I don't know where it's all coming from today. But it's 3-3. I mean, you never know, right? Let's be honest. You never know. However, I'm going to be more reserved here. I have to be. I'm going to go...
You be that guy, bro. I'll be the other guy. Don't worry about it. We got this. That's why we're a duo. That's why we made the channel, bro. You be boring if you want to be, all right? Let me do my thing.
I'm not going to be boring. When I go crazy, I go crazy. But I'm not going to go crazy. I believe Nottingham Forest at home will get that result against Burnley. And I've got a feeling that we're going to get, quote-unquote, not deceived, but what we're expecting from Burnley is not what we're going to get. And I'm going to go 2-1 Nottingham Forest in order to win that game on Monday night.
Blimey, mate. That's a great round of predictions, this, you know. I've already seen the scores from next week. I'm going to have 47 points. You're going to have 18. Actually, no, that makes sense because you predicted the right results in some of them the same as me. But I feel like I've won this week already. We don't need to watch the games. We don't need to review it. We'll just come back here and predictions next week. And I will be in the lead. That is my sign-off piece. Eunice, give us.
I'll be here. No, I'll be here, and you won't because you'll be drowning your sorrows because of the lack of points that you've picked up this weekend, and I'll be here celebrating with all the viewers, going, "Look what we did, guys! You listened to me, and we're all celebrating. Well done, guys!" So we will see you very soon. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, and we will catch you after this is all said and done, and we'll see where we all stand. Let us know your predictions down in the comments as well. Let us know how you guys are doing, and we will see you very, very soon. Let's get this weekend underway, shall we?
Goodbye.